intention. Oh, I have a mosquito here. How do you remove a ceramic coating? So in this video, guys, I'm going to explain exactly how we do that. But first, we have to answer a few questions. So first of all, why and when would you want to remove a ceramic coating? So in which scenarios? Then I'm going to tell you exactly how we go ahead and proceed to remove the coating properly and efficiently. And then I'm also going to answer another commonly asked question. So can you clay a ceramic coating? So can you do mechanical decontamination with a clay bar to remove embedded contaminants on an existing ceramic coating that's been applied to your paintwork? So you know the drill. We're going to talk about all this and more in this video. Let's go ahead and start the show. So hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pan the Organizer. So today I'm going to explain how to remove a ceramic coating. By the way, a ceramic coating, we're talking about the ones that are multi-year durability paint protectants. So they come in glass bottles like this, and it also applies to graphene coatings. So the same is going to apply to both. Both are in glass vials and they're multi-year paint protectants. The majority of the graphene coatings on the market anyways have a ceramic base, so SiO2 with graphene oxide infusion. So again, both glass bottles. So what we're talking about today applies to both. Also, don't worry, like in all my videos, I'll leave links to the tools, the products, and the stuff I talk about in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So let's start right now. First of all, before we go ahead and how we remove a ceramic coating, we first have to start like kind of understanding why you would want to remove a ceramic coating, right? This is going to be a participation type video as well. Drop comments in the comment section, especially if you're a professional detailer out there and you want to help the community. You can explain your procedure of how you remove ceramic coatings and also in which instances you remove them if there's some topics or examples that I didn't give in this video. So one of the first reasons is before applying a vinyl wrap or a PPF or paint protection film. So if you have a ceramic coating installed, that can prevent the PPF or the wrap from properly bonding onto your clear coat. So you want to go ahead and remove that. Another reason is if you have a lot of scratches or swirl marks on your ceramic coating. So over time, especially if you keep your vehicle many years and you have a long-term durability ceramic coating applied. If you're not using safe washing or drying methods, if you bring your car to an automated car wash with those rollers, hopefully you don't. But if you do, well, over time, like paint, a ceramic coating is going to have scratches and swirls. Ceramic coatings do not protect against scratches and swirls, and they're not bulletproof, right? They're not going to protect against stone chips. So that's more marketing hype. The good companies, they don't do those false claims. So the best a ceramic coating can do, by the way, is protect against some very light marring from when you're hand washing your car or you're towel drying with a microfiber drying towel. That's pretty much it. So the ceramic coatings do not protect against heavy scratches or swirls, and they do not protect against stone chips. So another reason you'd want to remove a ceramic coating is if, for example, you want a different coating applied. So you tested a coating, whether it's a graphene coating or a ceramic coating, and over time you're not quite satisfied of the level of gloss, you don't quite like the hydrophobic properties, or maybe the one you have is more prone to water spotting issues, so on and so forth, or you just are a car detailing enthusiast like me, you're like a car nut, and you want to try different products. That's when you'd want to remove the previous coat. If you've reached basically the effective lifespan of your coating and you're starting to notice a diminishing return on your investment, so for example, you're seeing diminished hydrophobic properties, so the water beading and the water sheeting, so you don't get those nice tight round water beads, or the water is not as quick to sheet off, that's when you're reaching pretty much the end of the efficient lifespan of your coating. Also, if you see a reduction in gloss that it gives out, or a reduction in the self-cleaning properties. And by the way, self-cleaning properties don't mean that the vehicle cleans itself, right? It just means that the ceramic coating, thanks to those self-cleaning properties, makes the vehicle a lot easier to wash during your maintenance washes, and the vehicle looks cleaner for longer. So if you see those properties starting to diminish, that's when you know you pretty much reached the end of the effective lifespan of your coating, right? So for example, a ceramic coating that's rated for 5 years. It's very rare that you'll reach that entire 5 years because it depends on many variables, like the weather outside, the condition, the maintenance, how it was applied, so on and so forth. So typically you'll get anywhere from 60 to maybe 75% of that total lifespan. So for a 5-year coating, 3 to 3.5 years, that's when you're probably going to start to notice the diminishing properties. So again, the hydrophobic properties, the self-cleaning properties, the diminishing gloss level, that kind of stuff, because no coating performs like day one all the way until the end of its lifespan, right? It starts to like kind of tailor down over time. So that's when you're thinking of applying a new coating. And there are maybe a bunch of other different reasons. For example, if you had a high spot during the application, so you applied the coating, for some reason you weren't diligent enough, or you didn't use a light to inspect, or you weren't in the proper lighting situation to actually look for high spots, right? So that's the darker spots when the coating cures on the surface. If you didn't level it properly, you're going to get those high spots. So once it cures, then a few weeks pass by to a few months, then perhaps in a different angle of light, or somebody pointed it out to you, or maybe it was done by a professional detailer that wasn't necessarily fully experienced with coatings. There can be a bunch of reasons why, but you actually see that high spot. So the only way to remove that is through mechanical abrasion, and we're going to get into that in a few seconds here. So one thing is for sure though, before we go forward with the video, is removing a ceramic coating is a huge chore. So it's a lot of manual labor. Yeah, quick warning, for sure you're gonna have a bunch of hours needed to do that. It's not something that is easy. And in a previous video that I did in January of 2021, you can go check that out on my channel. I had done another video on how you can remove ceramic coatings, but that one was meant more to show how durable they are, because we submitted the ceramic coating to an onslaught of different chemicals, and that was on my own previous BMW that I had. I had a professional grade ceramic coating on it, and it pretty much resisted everything. So from stripping shampoos to degreasers, all-purpose cleaners, citrus-based degreasers, iron removers, tar removers, isopropyl alcohol mixes, you name it. The majority of good ceramic coatings are meant to have a high chemical resistance on the pH scale, so anywhere from acidic all the way up to alkaline. So they have that broad range of chemical resistance, and they're quite durable, hence why they last for so long. And those are the properties that we truly appreciate. So that's a good thing. So yeah, that proved that the chemicals alone aren't enough to remove a ceramic coating, and the conclusion was that you needed mechanical abrasion. So now that we got that out of the side, we're going to split this now. We're going to explain how do you actually remove a ceramic coating. We're going to do this in two parts. First of all, the consumer grade 1 to 2 year coating. Those are typically lighter coatings that are DIY, so they're meant for the consumer to be able to easily purchase and easily apply. So the ease of application usually also leads to less durability. Not always, but as a general rule of thumb, the consumer grade coating, so the ones you guys can buy off the shelf or online, that can be applied by the general public with no training and no certification, typically will give you that 1 to 2 years of protection. Some better ones out there, or that are a bit more expensive, should I say, can last 3-5 years in the consumer realm, that kind of thing. But usually the 1 to 2 year coatings, a light polish is pretty much all you'll need. So something like Sonac's Perfect Finish, again, I'll leave links to all of this in the description under the video so you guys can check them out. But this here, you guys know if you've been following my videos, this is one of my favorite polishes. So this is a polish that has just enough cut to remove those entry-level consumer grade coatings. And you're going to combine that, well, here's another example, by the way, Fine Cut by Kochchemie or Kochchemie, however you want to say it. I know my German viewers out there, you guys love to pronounce it, Kochchemie or Kochchemie. And then you're going to need a finishing pad like the Rupes yellow fine finishing pad. So this is their newer version. So basically, any polish and any finishing pad that you want to do polishing will probably remove that 1 to 2 year consumer grade entry level coating. And that's all you need. And one way you'll notice, by the way, that you removed the coating is you're probably going to notice you have no more hydrophobic properties left. So none of that water beading. The water is going to pool up in a big sheet, and that sheet of water is going to be very slow to sheet off the panels. And that's how it's going to be a visual indicator indicating that you probably removed the entire ceramic coating. Now, quick disclaimer, there is no way to ensure 100% removal. So there's no way, unless you have this form of microscope or some way you can really dive into the science behind it. But yeah, you're only going to have that visual indicator as a cue. So be diligent to work properly and effectively and do the best you can. But you're probably never going to remove 100% of the old coating, like every millimeter of it on the paint. But no worries. The point is to get the majority off so you can start off fresh with a fresh layer afterwards, right? Now, the second part, if you have a professional grade ceramic coating. So a professional grade ceramic coating is a coating that you can only get through an authorized dealer and installer. So a professional detailer that has been certified and accredited by the brand to apply those coatings, because they usually come with warranties, so on and so forth. That's for another video though. So there are many examples out there, things like OptiCoat Pro Plus, you have Duraslick DS1500 Extreme, G-Technic Crystal Serum Ultra, you have CarPro Sequartz Professional or the Sequartz Finest Reserve. So there's a bunch of, there's Geon also that have the Infinite coatings, if I remember correctly, their new series, the Evo line for professionals. So basically all those pro grade coatings that will give many, many years of protection. So we're looking at 3, 5, 7+ years of protection, or even those very, very durable consumer grade coatings like the Adams Graphene ceramic coating, which is quoted to have a 9-year+ durability claim, that kind of stuff. Basically, the more durable ones, you're going to have to start off with water sanding most often. So you could sometimes escape with just a compound step and a paint polishing step, but you're going to need a lot of heavy machine polishing for many, many hours. So if you want to cut down on that time, you want to increase your speed and efficiency, especially if you're a professional detailer out there and you don't know what you're working with, or you're taking on a job from a client that had a professional grade ceramic coating applied by someone else. You don't know how long it's been there, how durable it is, that kind of stuff. Water sanding is usually the way to go. There are different blocks that you can get now. I'll link a few different options in the description once again, but you have your sanding blocks, right, that you attach your sanding paper to. You have your more flexible one that you can have that you wrap your paper around. There's some curved tools, some round pucks that you can have as well to polish. So you're going to use whatever tool you want and you attach your sanding paper. The key is you're going to use 3000 grit or 2500 grit. So 2500 to 3000, the bigger the number, the finer the grit. So usually 3000 is enough, but don't go anywhere above 2500 grit. So you want to keep it as fine as possible. You're going to have a spray bottle with water, and that's going to be your lubricant. So you're going to be spraying that on the surface and then rubbing. And how you're going to know that you're removing the coating? Well, if you're getting to the point where you see kind of a milky white appearance coming out in the water, that means you're to the clear coat, because you're shaving off a bit of the clear coat. So now you're to the point where that's where you're going to stop. So ideally you want to do before that, you're going to see that transparent water, but as soon as it starts getting milky, stop, because you know you're at the point of reaching the clear coat. By the way, ceramic coatings are only a few microns thick. To give you an example, an average human hair is anywhere from 70 microns on average, plus or minus 20 microns, so 50 to 90 depending on the person's hair thickness, but it's much, much thicker than a ceramic coating, and you know just how thin a human hair is, right? So basically it's less than 0.1 mil on average. So to make sure that you're not going too far, I would take, especially if you're a professional detailer out there, take some readings with a paint depth gauge. So this measures the thickness of the paint. And by the way, clear coat on a vehicle is typically, on average, for anywhere from 1.5 to 2 mils of thickness. Because don't forget, usually modern cars are a 3-layer system. So you get the primer, you get the base coat, which is the color coat, and then you get the clear coat on top. So the clear coat, that transparent, clear and glossy portion of the paintwork, is usually 1.5 to 2 mils thick. So when you're removing the ceramic coating, there's no real dangers, even when you're water sanding, because all you're removing is either little to nothing or up to 0.1 mils. So take measurements with a paint depth gauge, and if you notice that you remove 0.1 mils, you probably already removed the coating and you're starting to remove the clear coat as well. So 2 points, visually, if you see that milky white appearance, stop because you know you reached the clear coat, or take readings with a paint depth gauge and don't really go over 0.1 mils because you probably already removed the ceramic coating layer. So once you're done water sanding the entire surface, you know that the coating itself has been removed. But now you have to remove the water sanding marks, right? Because you used a 3000 or 2500 grit sandpaper. So you're going to move on to the paint polishing step. So again, you're going to use something like Sonax Perfect Finish or Kochemi Fine Cut, whatever polish you want, and a polishing pad like the Rupes Yellow Foam Pad. So that's the easy way, right? So water sanding, and then you do a finishing polish, and there you go. It's perfectly ready to go. You're going to apply an isopropyl alcohol mix or a paint prep spray to remove the polishing oils, and it's ready to be recoated or a fresh coating application. If you don't want a ceramic coating, you can move on to use either a wax, a paint sealant, whatever you guys want. The other option for those more durable, either pro-grade coatings or very, very high or long-lasting consumer-grade coatings is to start off with, if you're too scared with water sanding or you don't have enough experience, you haven't dived into that yet, you can go ahead and start with a compound stage. So the compound is a polish basically with bigger, larger abrasives. So you have a few options, something like 3D1. This is a hybrid actually, because it's a compound and a polish in one, so it can do both. And other compounds, there are many out there. Again, you can use whichever one you want. This, by the way, is not a sponsored video. Quick disclaimer, nobody paid for this video. I'm just sharing my tips and tricks. Another compound is CarPro Ultra Cut. And another one that is very, very good is Kochemi, once again, with their H9 or Heavy Cut. So basically, the more aggressive compounds will remove that ceramic coating, but you're going to need a lot more machine polishing before you remove the entire thing compared to water sanding, which really cuts down on your time and efficiency and really is safe. If you know what you're doing and you tape off the trim and the plastics and all that surrounding stuff and you take your time, you can do it. But again, the other option, use a compound, and you're going to need, of course, a compounding disc or a pad. Things like the Lake Country CCS foam pad. This is the orange cutting pad. You have Rupes, once again, this is their blue coarse cutting disc. This is the new version. And you have one of my favorites again. This is the Buff and Shine Eurofiber. This is a microfiber cutting pad. So these are all options that you have. And when you're done with the compound stage, you're going to remove the scratches that are induced, or the haze that's induced with a compound as well, by finishing with a finishing polish. So regardless, if you start with a compound or a water sanding option, you have to always finish with your polishing. That's going to refine the surface, remove the compounding marks or the water sanding marks. It's going to increase clarity, depth, restore that gloss as well. The biggest increase in gloss, by the way, that you get on paintwork is by machine polishing or paint correction. And yeah, restore all that clarity, gloss, and then you're good to go, right? IPA wipe, and you reapply the ceramic coating. So those are the options that you have. So basically, the mechanical abrasion is going to remove that ceramic coating layer and strip it from the clear coat. So then you have a fresh clear coat and virgin clear coat and a true surface to work with to reapply the next coating. Now, you can do also a water behavior test. So when you're done doing all of this, before you reapply that coating, you can do a water test just by spraying a bit of water. So sprinkle the water, or take your pressure washer, pressure rinse it, or take a garden hose and flood the panel. See if you get very quick water sheeting and water beads. So if yes is the answer, that means you haven't fully removed the coating because you're still getting those hydrophobic properties, right? If you're not getting any water beading, you're seeing a pool of water that is very, very slow to sheet off, and it's uniform, right? It is slow to sheet off, then you know you probably removed the ceramic coating, because the visual indicator that you have protection usually is those two things. So quick sheeting and very tight and round water beading, that means that there's still protection on the paint. So if you fully removed it, you get no more water beading and very, very slow sheeting. So the visual indicator is done. Then go ahead, dry the car, do the IPA wipe, and you're ready to coat. So another question that is often asked by viewers is also, do you absolutely have to remove a ceramic coating if your only intention... Oh, I have a mosquito here. I got bit today, by the way. somewhere here on the forehead. I was doing some yard work outside, and I hate doing gardening, that kind of stuff. But hey, I wanted to help my girlfriend out. She is the passionate one about the exterior of the home. I take care of the inside. I'm a maniac for getting everything clean and organized, and I just like a spick and span house inside, and she takes care of the outside. Anyways, I digress. So back to the video. Okay. So do you absolutely have to remove a ceramic coating before you apply a new one? Well, there is no clear-cut answer to that, except it depends on the scenario. So if your vehicle was well maintained, the ceramic coating was well maintained over the years or over the months you had it, and you did proper washing and drying techniques, and it looks good, there's not too many scratches or swirls, you don't have to 100% remove the old coating before applying a fresh one. And this is after talking with a bunch of the chemists that are in the majority of the brands or the leading brands that make ceramic coatings, which you can do basically if it's still in good shape and you get a uniform water beading and water sheeting, and the coating seems healthy to you. You just want to boost that layer. Let's say a year down the line, you just applied a coating. A year later, you want to boost that or add another layer. You would wash your car. Then you would use chemical decontamination. So an iron remover to remove that brake dust. And if you have any tar deposits or any tree sap, that kind of stuff, use a tar remover. And then you would go ahead and just rinse the vehicle. You're going to dry it as usual. You're going to use an IPA wipe, so isopropyl alcohol mix, or a paint prep spray to make sure there's no oil or residue or that kind of stuff on the paint, make it squeaky clean. And then you can just apply a fresh layer of your coating of choice. So SiO2 in most of the coatings formulation, or sometimes it's titanium dioxide, that kind of thing, TiO2. Some are made with ATO, antimony oxide. So basically there's a bunch of different types, but the general word is ceramic coating, right? They tend to bond to each other. So the base formulation will allow the next layer to bond to it, no issues. So you don't have to fully remove it in that instance. So again, you have to kind of figure out what you want to do and which state your paint is in. Of course, if there's a bunch of swirls, a bunch of scratches, it's oxidized like crazy, the hydrophobic properties or the self-cleaning properties have tremendously diminished, well, then you might be to the point where you want to go ahead and remove it. But yeah, if all you're looking for, if it's in great shape and you just want to boost the existing and you just want to add either a top coat, so something like CarPro Gliss maybe, or a Geon Skin, basically a super hydrophobic top coat that's going to help to alleviate the issue of water spotting, or you just want to boost with another fresh layer of that same coating. Once again, you can wash, chemically decontaminate your car, use that IPA paint prep spray or isopropyl alcohol mix brewed at home if you want to do your own solution, and that's it. You can reapply a fresh coating. So there's not a clear-cut answer. You really have to assess the state of your paintwork or the state of the ceramic coating and decide from there. But for the cases we listed at the beginning, so before PPF application, if there's been damage to the vehicle, for example, lots of swirls, lots of scratches, or for example, you've been in an accident and the panel needs to be repainted or resprayed, then you would want to remove it. If you want to try a different coating altogether, you might want to remove the old one if you're unsatisfied. If you've reached the effective lifespan of your coating as well, so if you see diminishing gloss, diminished hydrophobic properties, or diminished self-cleaning properties, you might want to remove it to start fresh. So those are the kinds of scenarios that, yeah, you're going to be probably keen into fully removing your existing coating. Now, let's move on to another question that's commonly asked by my viewers. Can you clay a ceramic coating? Lots of misinformation out there. As a general rule of thumb, now don't forget, the majority of people who watch videos don't always have the knowledge of a professional detailer, or maybe have never applied a ceramic coating in their life. So let's say they spent many hundreds of dollars or thousands to have a coating professionally installed, and if they're not quite aware of how they're supposed to maintain it, the general rule of thumb is do not clay a coating. Why? Because a clay bar is an abrasive. So there's different forms of abrasion of clays, anywhere from ultra-fine, fine, medium to very coarse. But in general, these are abrasives. So you could damage your coating, potentially strip it off if you're too aggressive, especially if you use a coarse clay bar. And so that's why the majority of the time you're going to hear professional detailers tell you do not clay a coating. Same thing for the coating manufacturing brands. They're going to try and push you more towards chemical decontamination, which is safe. However, if you do have some experience and you know what you're doing, or you've clayed a vehicle before and you understand the claying process, yes, you can clay the vehicle, but you're going to use an ultra fine clay or the finest clay possible. So for example, if we look at this, Geon has many different versions, but this is a coarse clay bar. You would not take this to an expensive ceramic coating or a ceramic coating in general because you run the risk of abrading it and damaging it. So do not use coarse clay bars. What you are going to use is ultra fine. So something like this. This is one of my favorites, Pinnacle Ultra Poly Clay. This is an ultra fine clay bar, so ultra fine grade. There's also another one. By the way, clay bars always use in combination with a clay lubricant, or at the very least, a very good quality shampoo that's in your wash bucket. So you can use that sudsy, soapy water as your clay lubricant. Make sure the surface is always lubed up. Or if you don't want to use any lubricant, this one here only needs water. This is the AM Details clay. So only water is needed. And once again, look at this here, the fine. So this is a fine clay. So ultra fine or fine, that's perfect. You're not going to damage the coating. Of course, be very, very gentle. Use a lot of lubrication on the surface. And yeah, you should be good to go. And by the way, also, and I want to quote my friend Larry from Ammo NYC, the other YouTube channel. Shout out to Larry, by the way. He often mentions, and I fully agree with him, only clay a vehicle that needs it. So if your car doesn't have any contamination, do not clay the vehicle. So how do you know if it has contamination? Very simple. When you're done washing your vehicle, you rinsed it, either when it's dry or when it's still wet, take your fingers, run them in the lower parts, those rocker panels, lower parts of the doors. If you feel any grit or contamination, that's when you know that there's contamination to be removed with a clay bar or clay mitt or a clay towel. So any form of clay media, as long as it's ultra fine or fine, if you're using it on a ceramic coating. You can also do the classic baggy test. So that's kind of to amplify the surface. You would do the same thing, but put a plastic Ziploc bag on top of your hand and run your fingers on the surface gently, and that should amplify the effect. If you feel any of that grit or sandpaper-like texture, especially in the lower parts of the vehicle, because those are usually the most contaminated, that's when you know that it's time to clay. If it's super smooth and it feels like glass, do not clay. You don't clay a vehicle that doesn't need it, because again, a clay bar is an abrasive. So I hope that all of this was clear. By the way, guys, all the links to the tools, equipment will be linked in the description under the video. If you enjoyed this and you want to show your support, smash that thumbs up button. That really helps the channel as well. Share this video with your friends, family, anybody who enjoys detailing. The more we spread the knowledge, the more people get to know what they're doing, and they're going to enjoy the process even more. My goal on my channel is to share my passion with you guys, my knowledge from this 25 plus years of detailing cars. I still absolutely love it. And thanks to you, we built one of the biggest car detailing channels on YouTube. At the moment of filming this video, we're almost at 800,000 subscribers and 100 million views. Mind blown, all thanks to you. So yeah, you guys are awesome. If you're new to the channel, welcome, by the way, to the Pan TheOrganizer family, and make sure you're subscribed, right? So click that subscribe button that's found under this video, and that way you'll subscribe to my channel and never miss my future videos, so you can continue to learn more about car detailing, all the products, equipment, tools, tips, tricks, and techniques. And guys, thanks for being there. Thanks for watching. And in the meantime, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you on the next one.